Hello and welcome to this application form guidance video for Key Action 229, which is Schools Exchange Partnership 2020. Before we start going through the form, there's just a couple of general points to note. The form automatically saves every 2 seconds. Mandatory fields will be marked in red and they all need to be filled in before you're able to submit the form. If a section is marked with a warning sign, which I'll show you in a bit, this means that either there is some information missing or not inputted correctly. Most individual questions will be marked in the same way to make it easy to identify and fix the issues. Now, we highly recommend that you have a copy of your application answers, for example, in a Word document. Should there be any technical issues with the application form or internet connection, we really don't want you to lose your work. If at any point whilst filling out the form you encounter any technical issues, please take a screenshot and notify us immediately by email. Okay, so we're now going to enter the form for KA229. I've already filled in parts of the form. And the first page that we come to is context. Now, this section consists of a data table containing information specific to the application. Please ensure that you're completing the correct application form by, in the top right-hand side, check the call, the year, round, and key action. As you can see on my screen now, there are a number of boxes that have a green bar to the left of them. This means that the mandatory information required has been completed. If, however, I remove a bit of this information, the box would show red and it would tell me that the field is mandatory. So, main objective of the project. For Key Action 2 School Exchange Partnerships, you will only be able to select Exchange of Good Practices from the drop-down menu. Project title, please choose a title for the project which is different from your organisation's name. Project acronym, please enter an acronym for your project title here. Project start date, select a date from the calendar. Now this must be between the 1st of September and the 31st of December 2020. Project total duration. A school exchange partnership can last between 12 and 36 months. You need to select the number of months from the drop-down menu. You must choose the duration of the project to include all activities, since there can be more than one within the project dates. The overall project duration will need to encompass all project-related activities from promotion and recruitment right through to evaluation and dissemination. It's important, therefore, to consider realistic project duration to be able to carry out all project activities to a high standard. Project end date. The latest possible end date for activities is the 31st of August 2023, and the end date will populate automatically depending on the start date and the duration of the project. National agency of the applicant organisation, you need to select UK01 for applications made to the UK National Agency. Language used to fill in the form, you need to select English for applications made to the UK National Agency again. And a useful tip here, please, if you can, try selecting the dates from the drop-down calendar. If you do decide to enter the date manually, please check whether it is in the correct format, otherwise the form may not validate. So the format used throughout the form is the full year, month, and then day. Okay, so if we go down now to participating organisations, and we've got the applicant organisation first. So this section asks applicants to provide information relating to the applicant organisation. You will need to ensure that yourself and all other organisations involved have an organisation ID. Please note that the organisation ID replaces the PIC as a unique identifier for the organisation, to apply for Erasmus Plus or European Solidarity Corps actions managed by national agencies. Now, the remaining part of this section of the form will be pre-filled in using the information submitted on the European Commission's organisation. So please check that this information is accurate and up to date, and update us if any of this information changes. So as you can see, due to some of the warning signs, if I just go back a second, we've got a few warning signs there because it means that not all the fields for my organisation have been completed. So you'll then need to select your organisation and fill in more details. So we've got type of organisation. Please select the most relevant type from the drop-down menu. And then if we go down to associated persons, and the legal representative comes up first. So please enter the details of the person who's authorised to enter into a legally binding commitment on behalf of your school. So this may be your head teacher or a senior member of staff. If your application is approved, this person will also be the signatory of the grant agreement and the person who takes on the terms and conditions attached to the grant on behalf of the organisation. So if we just click on the legal representative, you need to complete every field in this section. If the address of the legal signatory is different from the organisation address, you should provide additional address details here. If the address of the legal signatory is the same as the organisation, then please click same address as organisation. It's important to note here that you need to ensure the legal representative details are consistent throughout the application form and in the declaration of honour. If there are any consistencies, your application may not be taken forward. And again, please notify us as soon as possible of any changes. So then if we go back, and we'll go down to the contact person, you need to complete this as per the legal representative. We'll use these details as the first point of contact for the application and should be successful the grant. Please bear in mind that we will need to be able to contact this person throughout the year, including school holidays. So please use an email address that you have access to all year round. And we strongly recommend that the contact person for the application is different from the legal representative. Again, if the address of the contact person is different from the organisation address, you should provide additional address details. And if the address of the contact person is the same as your organisation, then please click same address as organisation. So going back again, you can select up to 3 contact persons. Please ensure that the contact person details are up to date and that those people will be available throughout the application process as well as the project lifetime, including long-term dates. Please contact us again as soon as possible if there are any changes. So once you've filled that in, you're then ready to go down to background and experience. Now, the information in this section will inform the assessment of your organisation's capacity to manage the project and proposed grant successfully. So you've got a couple of questions here. So please briefly present the school and include the following information. Please be mindful that there is a character count for each text box, which is indicative of the expected length of your answer. Please make sure that you include as much detail and justification as possible within all the narrative sections. And if we go down here, we've got, does this school have a valid eTwinning school label? Please select from the drop-down menu if your school has or does not have an eTwinning school label. Have you participated in a European Union granted project in the 3 years preceding this application? Again, please select from the drop-down menu. If you select yes here, You need to complete the table with the relevant information. You can click on Add Grant to add new activities. And you can click on the X icon to the right to delete activities. Please be aware that when you click delete on this application form, it will delete the relevant information permanently. So please have a copy of information on a Word document for backup. If you've been involved in previous projects, but you don't know the exact details, then please contact the UK National Agency for advice. Okay, so once you've completed all that, you're then ready to go back to partner organisation. So we'll just go back here. And you'll then need to go through the same process, entering all the details for your partner schools. Please note that a school exchange partnership should have a minimum of 2 partners from 2 different programme countries and a maximum of 6 partners, including the applicant. Now, if you have more than 1 partner, then you'll need to click on Add Partner and enter their organisation ID. Please note, if you're copying and pasting the information, there might be a space at the beginning or end, and this will show as invalid. So please check that there are no spaces. So once you've completed this section, you'll then need to click on Project Description. At the top here, we've got priorities and topics. Please select the most relevant priorities that will be addressed by your project, and you can select up to 3 different priorities. And then it asks you to select the most relevant horizontal or sectoral priority according to the objectives of your project. Please select at least 1 priority using the drop-down menu. Now, this can be school-specific or a horizontal priority. In the case of a horizontal priority, you'll need to demonstrate how your application directly relates to and intends to impact the school education field. Additional priorities can be added by clicking on them on the drop-down list. And again, the maximum amount of priorities you can select is 3. Just make sure that you have selected the correct field when selecting field-specific priorities. And then we'll go down to please select up to 3 topics addressed by your project. As you can see here, there is a long list of possible objectives. Taking into consideration your project objectives, please list the main topic areas of your project. And again, you can choose up to 3 topics from the list. So once you've done that, then you can scroll down a bit into project description. You'll then need to answer a couple of questions. Now, we highly recommend that you have a copy of these answers, for example, in a Word document. And should there be any technical issues with the application platform or internet connection, we don't want you to lose your work. Also, preparing your answers beforehand in a Word document means that you can figure out your character count and edit accordingly. Please be aware that the character counts include spaces. So fill these answers in as much detail as possible. And then we can scroll down to e-twinning and Erasmus Plus platforms. So this section is not compulsory and you will be able to submit without completing it. However, if you do decide to use European platforms such as e-twinning or School Education Gateway to support your project, you should provide full details here. And then we'll go down to participants. Please address all the questions outlined in the section of the application. So the first question with participants with fewer opportunities, please select yes or no from the drop-down menu. When selecting yes, the following questions will appear. So how many participants out of the total number would fall into this category? Please give the actual or likely number. What types of situations are these participants facing? Again, please select all relevant categories. And how will you support these participants so they will fully engage in the planned activities? Again, please answer fully. Once you fill that in, you're ready to go down to the left and go down to management. So, funds for project management and implementation. The form will automatically calculate the correct funding amount for project management and implementation. These amounts should be added automatically based on the number of partners within the partnership and the selected project start and end date. Please refer to page 116 of the 2020 programme guide for eligible costs under this category. You'll then need to go to learning and training activities, having filled in the remainder questions. Now, we would expect this type of project, which is school exchange partnership, to all have teaching and training activities because they're the main part of the project. So we come to list of activities. So please select your answer from the drop-down menu. Again, if you select yes, a new section on learning, teaching and training activities will appear. You will then be asked some questions and to input activities. So if we go down to activity details, I'm going to complete an activity or show you one that I've already completed so you can see the process. So you can click on add activity and then go to the right to the details button. So the activity number at the top here, which is C3, fills automatically. This field is greyed out with schools as the default option. Activity type, please select from the drop-down menu. So I'm going to choose short-term exchanges of groups of pupils. Activity title, give a title here. Leading organisation. So this leading organisation is who's going to host the activity. So I'm going to choose the French school. Participating organisation, the UK school is going to go to France. Starting period, let's say, for example, January 2021. And duration, so this is how many days my activity is going to last. So this type of activity will have a minimum of 3 working days. So I'm going to say 3. And the country of venue will be France. Then you come to description of the activity. Now, it should be clear from each activity that it adds value and contributes to the overall objectives presented above. Then, does this activity combine physical mobility with virtual exchanges through e-twinning? Please select yes or no from the drop-down box. Selecting yes will generate the following questions. So once I've filled all that in, I need to request funding for the activity. So if we go down, we will have 3 lines on the right, and then we can click on details. So here the sending organisation will be the UK school. The country of venue will be France. The number of participants, there will be 10 pupils. And the number of accompanying persons will be 3 teachers. So here, the teachers will be the accompanying persons and the pupils will be the participants in this example. And then I'm going to go down and check that the information provided for individual support, which are the subsistence costs, are correct. So we have 10 children for 3 days. We've got 3 teachers, but we haven't requested any funding for accompanying persons. So as they're going to be travelling with the children, we're going to request funding for the teachers as well for the same amount of days, which is 3. Now, if you think you might need to travel the day before the activities start or return the day after they finish, you cannot add up to 2 days to the individual support section. So I can increase the duration to 5 days for both the participants and the accompanying persons. So you have the chance here to ask for subsistence costs, so food and accommodation for the day before and the day after the activity is taking place. And once you've filled that in, you can go down to travel. Now here you would use the distance band calculator via this link, which helps you to calculate the distance and then choose the applicable distance band, which in this case would be 500 to 1999 kilometres. And then as you can see on the right, it will calculate how much funding is given as a total as well as per participant. If you or the school you're visiting is based in a remote area, you might want to request exceptional cost for expensive travel. So this would be instead of the normal distance travel band, and you would need to provide the number of participants. So in this case, it would be 13, including the teachers. The description and justification. This is why you need this type of funding rather than the normal distance band. And the grant, so how much this is going to cost. It's important to note here that you need to check the pages 114 and 120 of the 2020 programme guide for more information in regards to exceptional cost for expensive travel. So once you've completed this information, you can go back to the activity details. We go up to the top, and you need to double check that all the information that you've provided is correct. Please make sure that you complete all sections, so travel or exceptional costs for expensive travel and individual support, as funding can only be awarded for requested costs and cannot be awarded retrospectively. If you had another activity, you would then press add and go through this process again. Please make sure that you're always requesting money for the organisation that is travelling to the activity and not for those hosting the activity. So now that all my learning, teaching and training information has been inputted correctly, well, once you've done that, it will go green, but it won't for me because I haven't put in all the information. I can move on to the next section, which is timetable. So as you can see, any activities entered under learning, teaching and training activities will automatically populate this section, creating a timetable with the dates that have already been entered in the application form. You can also add project events and tasks at the bottom. Now, these are those activities that take place as part of the project, but are not learning, teaching and training activities. So in order to add a project event and task, please click on the add button, and then you can go in to fill the details of that activity. Please be prepared to provide a description of this event, which details the content, who will participate and how it will support the project. Now, funding can't be specifically claimed for this event, but they will provide additional detail as to how the project will be managed. So please enter all relevant other activities that might be relevant for the external experts to know about. Once you've done that, we can go to special costs. Please make sure that you add all special costs for all your partner organisations. So special needs support refers to costs directly relating to participants with disabilities, including participants with special needs and accompanying persons participating in transnational teaching, training and learning activities. So any costs requested under this budget heading must not already be covered by the travel or individual support budget headings, and they'll need to be clearly justified in the application. So we've got participants with special needs. Out of the total number of participants, Even if you're not sure of the details, include any anticipated participation by people with special needs. Exceptional costs. The awarding of exceptional costs is not guaranteed, so clear and full justification must be given. Now, exceptional costs are based on actual costs and must be supported by invoices and receipts at the final stage of reporting. So you can choose the organisation again, but provide description and clear justification and an estimate of how much funding you may need. Once you've done this, you can then move to follow-up. Now, this is where you explain how you will assess the impact of your project. So the first question is, how are you going to assess if the project's objectives have been met? You need to explain the expected outcomes for participants, so resulting from any mobility activities, planned learning and active involvement in the project. So examples could include improved knowledge, newly acquired or developed skills, and changes in attitude or behaviour. Please also describe the means you will use and, if known at this stage, your indicators of achievement or how you will go on to develop them. Second question, how will the participation in this project contribute to the development of the involved schools in the long term? Please provide details of the expected long-term impact of the project, as well as any plans that are in place to ensure the sustainability of the project's results. Next question, please describe your plans for dissemination and use of project results. Prepare to describe in detail how you will share your results. So please consider the target groups for your dissemination, how you will share your results with them and when. We recommend that you consider the dissemination at school, local, national, and even international levels where appropriate. Once you've completed the questions on impact, you can then move on to project budget summary. Now, please check carefully that all the information here is correct. Check that you have requested funding for your school as well as for all your partner organisations, because you'll need to apply for everyone in the partnership, not just yourself. Make sure that the budget is for everything that you need. So carefully check the travel grant or expensive travel. Check that you have individual support, which are the subsistence costs. And if you have a long-term mobility project, you might have applied for linguistic support in order to prepare for this mobility. You'll then need to check the total that each organisation would get, and if you're happy with that information, you can move on to project summary. If you're not happy with the information, you need to go back to the different tabs on the left and adjust any information that might not be accurate or not what you intended to apply for. Remember, you can't get additional funding retrospectively. So, moving on to a project summary. Please make sure that you read all the questions and guidance at the start of each section, as this will help with what is expected in each section of the application form. So once you've completed the summary, you would then move on to annexes. Now in this section, it's really important that you download the Declaration of Honour. So I'm just going to download it now and show you the document. There we go. So your legal representative should read carefully through this document, and once they're happy with it and they're happy with the application that you're putting forward, they will need to complete the bottom of the document. So I'll just scroll down here to the bottom. In the place field, they will need to write either the name of the city or town where your organisation is based and where this document is being signed. So for example, in this case, they would write Cardiff, and they will need to write the date. Now the UK National Agency doesn't require a national ID number, so please just leave this blank. In the case of stamps, if your organisation doesn't have a stamp, please just write not applicable. Signatures must be original at the point of signing and then scanned. We cannot accept electronic signatures. So please bear in mind that you'll need to print this document, get it signed, scanned and uploaded to do have this document prepared within good time. You upload it by pressing the Add Declaration of Honour button. So I'll just go back to the form. If you need to add any other files, then please upload them by pressing the Add File button here. And once you've uploaded the Declaration of Honour form, you can go to the checklist. So go through the list, make sure that you're happy and tick each one. At the bottom, make sure you click that you agree with the privacy statement on data protection. And once you've done all this and have uploaded your Declaration of Honour, which as you can see here, the warning signs I haven't done, and once you've entered all the information from all the organisations, again, which you can see that I haven't done, the submit button will appear at the bottom. You'll need to click submit before 11 AM UK time on the 24th of March 2020. You'll then get a message on the page to say that you've submitted your form. Now, we strongly recommend that you download a PDF version of your application form just by clicking on this PDF button, which I'll do now. So if I click on it, then it will generate my application form in a PDF. So this is my application form. We strongly recommend you keep a PDF copy for your records, but also just double check what is showing on the PDF and the information you provided on the application form match, and that you're happy with it before clicking submit. If you want to share your application at any point with your partners, you can click share, then share application. You can choose whether you want them to read only or be able to edit, and then select one of the contact people from one of your organisations. Please note that any person accessing the form will need an EU login account for the email you have entered. And very importantly, it will warn you on the screen that you won't be able to submit the application whilst it is open with someone you are sharing with it. This then completes the guidance for the application form. Please contact us if you require further support, and best of luck with your application.